Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 good brothers and sisters. Ha 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 ha! We have making his debut in the valley, but not his debut in the monastery. The man behind such works as Justice Velocity, Nebula Chaos, and Toku Legends, among plenty of other things. Good brother Clipper.
Hey, what's up? Happy to be here.
Happen to be here, which means Ramen, you are no longer the FNG. Speaking of which,
You leveled up.
our burb vampire, good sister Ramen. And the man who is our resident arcade enforcer, good brother Flame.
2 episodes and I haven't died yet. That's a new record.
Wait, does that mean you make sure everyone puts their quarters on the machine to call next?
Oh, no, he makes sure that anyone who plays Rugal is suitably punished.
I punch people in the face for less.
I'd punch people in the nuts for that.
Or beat the hell out of somebody who abuses the Ruby Heart glitch.
Shame they never brought her back.
I imagine it's lingering trauma from those issues, or let's be fair. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a perfectly balanced game with no exploits whatsoever. I can't even.
That's the whole story with the series.
But it also has one of the catchiest themes ever.
Which
I feel like being taken for a ride.
Yeah.
Gonna take you for a ride.
No, the real punishment is having someone play the Art of Fighting 2 arcade machine.
Why? Why would you do this?
Because your punishment must be more severe.
I didn't even get introduced. Why am I being punished?
Speaking of which, our three-eyed master of dad jokes, good brother Joe.
Fortune favor you all. Hello, everyone.
Yep. So we are back with a brand new season, a brand new crew. Still the same old lingering shit posting. But now this is not my first rodeo with Cloudbreaker. I did a first impressions video quite some time ago. But that was done when the game was still not fully out. So because of that, I'm not going to include whatever I said at that time. Especially, I mean, yeah, there's going to be some similarities, but it's a general policy I have that once it crosses from beta or pre-release to release, blank slate, starting from scratch. But yeah, I did that video about 2 years ago. And obviously now the things come out and there's been plenty of expansions within the playtest side of things. Those playtest expansions will not be covered on this series. We're focusing just on the core rulebook. Because of the fact that those things are active development matters, I don't want to put out a video and then have it be obsolete in 3 months. I think that was the reason it took me so long to cover Gubat Bunwa, because every time I started to write a thing on it, another update came along that made a third of what I was writing obsolete. But I will note this in advance. In the interest of disclosure, I did back the game on Kickstarter. I have done multiple interviews with CJ Lung. Uh, but as always, that will not influence the assessment as we go into things. And I do remember one individual making a remark about this feeling like a gacha game, which I don't see it. But we do have a table of contents. We do have an index. We do have
Yay.
hyperlinks.
It's a gosh dang
Uh,
miracle.
Over 300 pages.
Yep. So obviously, unlike the one shots from last week, we will not be doing everything in one go. Because I think the only way I'd be able to marathon that well is if I had a giant container of honey on the side of my desk. The only time I've ever done that is when I've had to do shows while still technically being under the weather and my throat is destroyed.
Well, in our case, we covered a few that were this length, but we had the luck that since they were all D20 adjacent or the 5th edition adjacent, we could just skim through most of it.
Yeah, we're not getting that luxury here. I will bury the lead in advance and say that the only die you're going to be worried about is 2d6. You will
Oh,
learn
like
to know the
Soulworld.
2d6. You will learn to love the 2d6.
Mildra, I play war games. I am ruled by the D6.
Oh, I know. Especially if you have to deal with those interesting people, very nice people who run orc armies.
Thankfully, not yet.
You know, the guys who are like, if I fire enough bullets, I'll eventually hit something.
Walk? Walk.
Wow.
Kitchen? Kitchen. Pork rind? Pork rind.
Walk
Fight?
time.
Fight. I know I got that out of order, but I had to do that one.
The worst part is that we are using old rules. So when we play 40k, the Dakar rule that if you get a 5 or a 6, you have to roll again always stands.
I never knew why you'd get rid of something like that. That's just fun.
Yeah.
And it's I believe at the time the caveat is the fact that back then and now, orcs have absolute ass when it comes to ballistic skill.
Yes.
Like their
They
BS
need-
was 5.
Yeah, they hit on 5 plus.
Mhm.
So it's just either 5 or 6. So you either get shot, or you either get double shot, or triple, or quadruple.
Mhm. But in the pursuit of perfect balance, sometimes people forget about putting in those ridiculous mechanics just for the fact that this is still a game and games are supposed to be fun.
You mean like the later half of Symphony of the Night?
Yeah, where you're completely busted.
Yes.
Oh yeah. But this is not going to be an extremely lengthy episode because the first episode of any season that we ever do always is focused on just getting the basics down. Consider this the overture if you're watching an opera.
Who is the fat lady who sings when we're done?
We're not even at that part. And thank God, because I don't want to break my glasses again. So, God help you if you ever willingly try and go to Ring of the Nibelung, because that's not a one-night show.
Not with that attitude.
No, no, seriously. The whole opera is 20 hours. They split it up. They spread it out over a week.
Well, you better get up early.
Oh, pretty much. But there are a couple things I do want to note that I like as far as a quality of life thing. One of them is if you look on page 4, you'll see a sidebar about start playing quickly, where if you want to hit the ground running, the PL entry, those are just for what the players need to read. GMs only need to read on the sections that have that tag in them. Some areas will have both, and there will always, in each part about rules, there will be section summaries. Those are very nice quality of life features. Or I suppose with the combat, when we get to that part, quality of death.
You know, if you make a quick guide about this, it's gonna be like less than 50 pages, maybe a bit more.
I have
Good work.
seen some make player's guide versions of their games, where I know Tim did that for Beacon, where it's just the core book but with all the GM stuff taken out. But
Makes sense.
Cloudbreaker Alliance describes itself as a counter-apocalyptic setting. Saying 2,000 years after a cataclysm known as Cloudfall devastated the world, the dispersed inhabitants finally got the chance to reunite. It has a hopeful theme where it is possible to go beyond reclaiming what was lost and perhaps create something new and better together. Among the Cloudbreakers are the valiant, the noble, and the wise, though in short supply. Collectively, they are just a bunch of very silly people trying to reunite the world by making things up as they go along. They make plenty of mistakes, and perhaps so. And then we get into Chapter 1, where it goes into the introduction of what Cloudbreaker Alliance is.
Oh, sorry, real quick. I have some commentary on that page, if that's alright.
Go ahead.
I just thought it was a very interesting framing. I mean, like, our counterpunk, post-cyberpunk vibes, which is very interesting, and it gave me like sort of helpful, sort of tonal way of like what to expect in the following pages. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. And I also like this like open closed circle thing. That was kind of a unique way of putting together this idea of like collaborative storytelling, etc. And then also just backing up a little bit from the credits page, there's quite a few names listed, which led me to believe that this was a mid to large scale production. And I also found the influences page very interesting because they listed very disparately like different video games and then like a bunch of like classic literature from like all over the world, which was like kind of interesting, and also Star Trek, which I thought was interesting. And the Star Trek thing I actually find probably amongst all of its influences seem to speak most to like this like optimistic sort of like narrative like worldview type of thing that they were going for. So anyway,
moving right along, after the introduction of what an RPG is, they go into how to start.
What is an RPG?
Yeah, I do like this diagram that they have of the various steps on the PC and GM side.
It looks nice, actually.
Yeah, it's really good.
Chart.
Starting with reading the introduction, basic rules, deciding players and GM. The players go with pick or create a character, then learning their character, then learning the main rules, then learning about monsters, and learning about hazards. For the GM, it's learning the main rules, reading the sample mission, learning about monsters, learning about hazards, getting game mastering tips, learning and optionally learning how PCs work, then playing the sample mission. Now, in our coverage of the book, we will not be covering the sample mission, because as a general rule, I don't cover modules in this series. The main reason for that is not wanting to do anything in the way of spoilers. But they do. There's also the notes of individual over general, which is it's an incarnation of the specific beats general rule that you see in just about any RPG.
Yeah.
Then going on to continuing, bringing up the way advancement works in Chapter 12. And then a nice little example of play that is see with tabletop. And this goes on for a few pages, and like I said, the only die you're going to be using are 2d6. Oh.
I do love a 2d6 system, I just gotta say.
Oh.
It is swag.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was weird, though, if I may, is that, you know, we kind of go pretty quickly from what is an RPG to, like, this example of play that includes, like, a lot of, like, pretty intensive jargon, which is, like, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's like trying to run before they learn to walk.
Yeah, which is maybe more of, like, a organization between information thing than anything, but I just found it, like, kind of interesting how it's like, here's what an RPG is, and then, like, you get, like, all these different subsystems that we don't know about just yet. And I could kind of deduce from, like, how it was being described that, like, you know, it was basically describing advantage as edge and so on and so forth.
But, a lot of those terms,
you know, there were, like, a few things that were, like,
we will get to in time.
Yeah. Yeah, I just mean, like, you know, we go from what's an RPG, and then on page 9, we get mentions of subquirk, edge, discipline features, like, shit like that we don't know anything about yet. So, like, if you're just coming to this as someone who doesn't know what an RPG is, I don't know.
Well,
you know what I mean? It's a little... you get kind of, like, rocket launched. But...
Oh. Anyways, then we head into Chapter 2, which of course is basic rules. And I do like that with you're going to see this with each chapter. It'll go into the bullet points of what the major sections are. We also have that as a sidebar on the side of the page, as well as a summary of each section. For just rolling dice, you're going to be rolling, it's 2d6 plus any modifiers, and comparing that to the task difficulty, which, or whoever you're rolling against in the case of a contested roll. Only the acting character is required to roll in general. Edge and setback are basically advantage and disadvantage. And when it comes to combat rolls, the other side of things, you either have attack rolls, which can be subdivided into major, follow-up, or simultaneous, and effect roll, which can be subdivided into physical or mental effects. Effect rolls are always going to be targeting physical or mental fortitude. Attack rolls are always going to be targeting defense. And it is interesting that the whole edge and setback mechanic doesn't apply to effect rolls. But in the case of ties with contested task rolls, they have it reroll until there's a winner, which I sometimes have to wonder if somebody's dice are blessed or cursed if you end up tying multiple times in one go.
It's like rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're synchronized enough with somebody, I'm pretty sure we've all had those cases of doing rock, paper, scissors and getting the exact same one 5 times in a row.
It's like we're the Ginyu Force or something.
No, because we're not all named after we're not all a group of people who are just one giant food joke. Because Toriyama loves to make his food puns for some reason.
His name's Rice.
Uh,
Just Gohan. Like,
Toriyama was a weird individual.
The only person not named after food was Goku.
And that was because Dragon Ball was originally supposed to be a modern take on Journey to the West, and he forgot his words.
He lost the plot, but it's okay.
But of course, there was also the fact that he made it clear that he would not move to Tokyo. If he it said, if I have to move to Tokyo, I quit. But we do have a bit more expanded look on task roles, and I do love the way they represent them. Especially the whole...
dude, also, I just gotta say, the whole visual, like, aesthetic of this section is, like, very... like, you don't see this in, like, pretty much any other tabletop RPG. It kind of reminds me of, what was it? Like, there's that Adventure Quest, that, like, Flash game or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, early 2000s sort of Flash game aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was just very, like, endearing for some reason to me.
Yep.
I haven't heard
Obvious-
that name in ages.
Obviously, when rolling 2d6, you get boxcars, that's a crit. You get fumbles, that's a botch. Sometimes you'll get a mastery bonus based on what you're rolling. If you have mastery in skills, in toolkits or weapons, you add that bonus. You could see this as an incarnation of proficiency, but it's not a 1-to-1, and you'll see why in a bit. But you'll usually have with task rolls, you'll have a skill bonus that is the sum of attributes and the mastery bonus. If you have that mastery bonus to that skill. At first level, your mastery bonus is 2, and it will go up at certain levels. You also have a toolkit roll, which is separate. If you're using a certain toolkit, you'd add the bonus to that. If you have mastery in that toolkit, you'd add the mastery bonus to that. The fact that toolkits are their own rolls is a interesting thing. And
Yeah, it is interesting.
we do have a difficulty range for tasks based on not only for 3 different level ranges, which are meant to be the equivalent to adventurer ranks. Level 1 to 4 is copper, level 5 to 8 is silver, 9 and up is gold. And for each one showing a suggested difficulty for very easy to near impossible for different tasks. Which 8 on a straight 2d6 roll is an interesting baseline for early on.
Well, isn't it with you're not adding your stat bonus to that, I guess. It's just if you have the
If
What
your
is it,
stat
the
bonus
mastery
is you're adding your stat bonus and mastery if you have mastery.
Oh, so you are adding your stat bonus, right?
Yeah,
So
this isn't like, say...
So it's not just a straight 8. It would be an 8. It would be a modified 8, right?
If, well,
Am I
there is the...
interpreting that correctly?
There is the... If your stat bonus is 0, it could be straight 2d6. But,
Yeah.
so let me let me see the odds in any dice. So,
Well, I guess your stat bonuses are pretty low in this too. It's usually like 1 or 2 or something. So,
we'll get to that next week.
yeah.
But I always try and look at the baseline without any modifiers, and the odds of succeeding on of getting an 8 on a 2d6 is 27.7. Versus if you have mastery, like just the baseline mastery of +2, then the odds are 58.3. So the numbers aren't going to be high, but the individual numbers are going to have a significant impact.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess the idea would be, though, maybe the way that they're allocating that is that would be a modified roll. So it's if you're not modified, it's because you don't have the stat or you don't have the skill or so on and so forth.
But when it comes to
Exceptionally ill-equipped to make the roll,
Yep. When it comes to skills, which are, if you're using types of gadgets, that's toolkits. If you're not, it's skills. We have 4 skills and 3. We have 3 skills per each. I'd say attribute. Though the thing is, you never roll a straight attribute. You never roll, like, say, agility. You're always going to be rolling the skill. Agility is just the baseline modifier for those skills. And that's going to be, for strength, we have brute, endurance, and intimidation. For agility, we have sports, thievery, and deception. For awareness, we have detect, information, and reason. For empathy, we have psychology, artistry, and appeal. And I think I mentioned this when I did that video 2 years ago, but there's a kind of separation that I don't see as often that you are going to see here, and it's something we will get to. But in addition to that, I already mentioned the toolkits, which toolkits aren't associated with any attribute. Instead, they're on their own thing. The modifier beyond mastery that you would get is based on the toolkit itself. And there are going to be degrees of toolkits that will give bonuses. But the toolkits are climbing, navigator, arcanist, thaumaturgist, chemist, mechanics, impersonation, and infiltration. But it's not a case of, how with a lot of in several games you have this idea of your core attributes trickle down into everything else. Cloudbreaker isn't exactly doing that. At least not in the sense that a lot of people think. So it's not a case where how many points in strength is going to determine your attacks. That's handled separately. Speaking of which, they bring up combat rolls, and once again, we end up getting Adventure Quest flashbacks.
Hell yeah, let's fucking go, dude.
But
hell yeah, Adobe Flash is back.
Mm-hmm. remember how Adobe tried to kill Flash and then Newgrounds made their own made their own Flash software for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Sure.
it's amazing.
It's like, all these Flash games from the last 20 years are no longer going to be supported, and then Newgrounds like, the fuck they're not. Basically made their own fork of it, which since it was since Flash wasn't going to be supported. In fact, old SWF files can't run normally anymore. They made their own fork. Because where there is a fan, there's a way. Anyway,
It's pretty swag.
when it comes to combat roles, instead of using an attribute, you're using mastery and any bonuses you might get from your weapon. And you are you are going to have different weapon categories, usually light, medium, and heavy, and in some cases extra heavy. If you're doing a spellcaster, spell catalysts are also considered a weapon. If you're doing certain maneuvers, there will be a maneuver mastery role that you can have, and maneuvers are things like grapple and trip. And when we get into combat full, we'll go into maneuver masteries. It's best to think of maneuvers kind of like the combat maneuver bonus setup that you saw in Pathfinder. And you have spell combat roll, martial arts combat roll, if you're playing the martial artist. Eidolon combat roll for the command Eidolon feature for the channeler, and unarmed. But you essentially have different types of skills for combat roles that have a much bigger footprint than, say, attributes. So things like what we saw before: strength, agility, awareness, and empathy. That stuff is just related to skills. Combat's a separate thing. The same way toolkits are a separate thing.
Yeah, that bifurcation is pretty interesting. I feel like you don't see that a lot.
Since the 90s, there's been the idea of unified mechanics. All roads lead to Rome. But when it comes to attacks, it is target defense is the target number. Damage is the base damage plus the difference between attack and defense and any relevant bonus. When it's referring to excess damage, that is the difference between attack and defense.
Yeah, like how much you exceed it by.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, 2d6 is the only thing you're rolling, even for damage. Which I'm perfectly fine with, because there's been, and this was something I talked about when developing Legend Edition, there have been games where no matter if you beat defense by 5 points or 50 points, you're still doing the same amount of damage, unless you crit.
Yeah. No, that's true. There was honestly, like, one time we were playing Justice Velocity, and one of my friends was like, yeah, I hate when I get like a 20-something to hit, and then I roll damage, and I'm still just rolling a 1d6 plus 3. Which is like, you know.
And I have my own version of attack versus defense leading to extra damage, but that's, instead of having it being a flat number, that's the extra effort rule where you're rolling d4s. Or in very rare cases, like casting Flare, d6s.
Yeah, the excess damage is almost like a like a cousin of what do you call it? Like levels of success or whatever.
Degrees of
An
success.
interesting mechanic. Yeah, degrees. Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
But
That's something that I really like about like D100 systems because you have like 3 stages of success.
and this kind of approach of that sort of excess damage, I find that people who have more of a video game background have an easier time wrapping their head around that.
Yeah, number go up.
Yeah.
Mostly because that is something that I'd say even more so with people who have a background with TCGs. Also have an easy time wrapping their head around that because it's something that is so standard in those games.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Oh.
Like Trample and old MTG. I haven't played Magic in like a decade. I don't know why I'm even bringing it up.
Trample's still.
Trample is still-
But even
I remember that when Yu-Gi-Oh, well, it was so revolutionary that instead of saying penetration damage, they have to explain that you have to inflict the difference between the defense of the enemy against attacking the HP of the player, the life points of the player.
Yu-Gi-Oh did not and still doesn't believe in the idea of keywords for effects.
Of course not. How else are you gonna get your game recognized by having the entire Old Testament in a card description?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Magic overly relies on their keywords, and then forgets a lot of their keywords exist.
Yeah.
Remember horsemanship?
Or super haste.
Ooh, I know. Banding.
Oh god, that is a deep wound.
They are no strangers to inflicting psychic damage here in the monastery. But
We're also no strangers to love.
You know the rules, so do I.
would it surprise you at all if one of my stunts was putting small photos of Rick Astley at the and taping them to the bottom of people's coffee mugs?
No.
I honestly expected worse.
Oh,
The full commitment's what you're thinking of.
if you're thinking of that I rigged to have a Rickroll sound when someone opens a door or something like that. Yes. Oh.
Though to be fair, I prefer Together Forever over the Rickroll song.
I just can't look at Rick Astley because he looks way too much like a younger version of my old man.
It's okay, Mildred. I can look at Rick actually because I'm fucking blind without my glasses.
But sometimes getting back on the rails, sometimes you do have follow-up attacks, which work the same way, but follow-up attacks do not add in excess damage. You just make another attack. If it hits, you do the damage, just without excess. So you're just doing base damage. Simultaneous attacks are the multi-target attacks where you're doing the same attack, but you're comparing it against different defenses. All you're doing is rolling the attack and then seeing who gets hit and for how much. And we also have the concept of opportunity strikes, so opportunity attack. But something to note, and I'm kind of bearing the lead here. Cloudbreaker isn't using the 5-foot square grid approach. It is using shared areas in a way that I think
interesting.
The closest point of comparison I can think of is something like, say, Wild Arms 5,
That's crazy. That's a
It's-
crazy poll.
I can't
It's not
believe
a
we're
one-to-one.
talking about Wild Arms in 2026.
Oh, I will talk about Wild Arms any chance I get. But
Favorite Wild Arms game? Go.
1
2.
personally.
And finish like the entirety of one.
Mhm.
And that is
But-
like
Fair, fair.
my only experience.
I mean, I'm sure they're all great. I just, you know, personally, like, I feel like the first one I got like when I was like 9 years old, and it was like one of the first JRPGs that I played like a significant amount of. But I know like 3 is really, people like that one a lot, and
Mhm.
you know, what
Yeah.
was the remake of one that was like
Alter Code F.
yeah,
That one was
people
pretty
like
good.
that a lot too.
Oh,
And like I definitely, when you were talking about 5, I just had this flashback to sitting in Taco Bell after coming out of Blockbuster when I was like 12, looking at the game manual and they're describing zones. Like,
yeah. 4 and 5 introduced the hex system. I bring up
Yeah.
5 because 4 is divisive, but that's a story for another night. But when someone tries to move out of a zone that you're in, you do get an opportunity strike. This has to be a melee major attack. It is done as a free action. If it survives the attack, they can continue movement. If not, they don't get that movement. And if they're pushed away or teleporting, you can't do it. So no shove forcing opportunity attacks for you. And when it comes to range, melee weapons have a range of 0, which means only targets in the same zone as you. Middle is ranges of 0 to 3. But pretty much every ranged weapon, you can do attacks at range, but you can't do opportunity strikes. With long-ranged weapons, if there's any enemies in the same zone as you, you roll with setback. But something I appreciate with this is that there isn't the whole firing into melee rule in there.
Come on, I can't even swing with the weapon stock.
That'd just be a melee attack then.
I want to use a gun as a glove.
If you roll boxcars, that is a crit. It automatically hits. And you calculate damage and bonuses and double the sum. So you are doing double damage on crits. Crits do not stack. If you roll snake eyes, you automatically miss. And I do. You know what's one thing that I don't miss from some of the games I was running in 2000? Having to
What?
confirm your crit.
Yeah.
oh
true.
yeah, that sucks.
Ow.
Yeah.
Explain this foreign concept to me because I have no
Oh,
idea you
gosh.
had to.
May I?
Go ahead.
So,
this big one.
way back in the day, from like 3rd edition and before that, whenever you would roll a nat 20 or within a crit,
Mhm.
it didn't automatically hit. In order to see if it was actually crit, you had to roll the d20 again, and if you got the 20 again, then it was a crit.
Then you do double damage. If you didn't, you just got max damage.
It was stupid.
That is the most stupid thing I've ever heard.
Right? But those were all also in the days where you could technically change your crit range depending on what you were equipped with and what enchantments and magic items you had. So instead of just getting a crit on a 20, you could have something as ridiculous as getting a crit on a 10.
Oh,
If you built around that, you certainly could.
Yeah. And don't let me get into vorpal weapons.
Let's not say we didn't. Moving on. Oh. So when it comes to the stats of weapon damage, it'll be listed in the base damage, um, the type of damage it'll do, whether it be HP, MP, or Resolve, the type, whether it be blunt or sharp, or if it's an elemental type effect, and the method, in this case being weapon damage. You're going to see this with pretty much anything that does damage. In some cases, you will deal with effect rolls, which you know how back in the day it was always kind of weird that the person getting targeted had to roll the saving throw and not the aggressor. Unless you were a civilized person playing Saga Edition or 4th, where instead you just have those saving throws as defenses. I wish that kind of thing had stuck. But no, that was too. But the idea of just targeting different defenses was too new of an idea for the people who want to pretend that it's 1977 for eternity. But if something calls for a combat effect roll, it is 2d6 plus mastery plus any bonuses to either physical fortitude or mental fortitude, depending on the effect. A lot of debuffs are going to fall into this. And even with those effect rolls, you can still inflict damage. You just inflict them the same way you would with an attack roll. But after that, they go into missions and campaigns. This is much like a lot of Japanese tabletop I've seen. This is a very mission-based design.
Hey, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little unclear on the zones thing. Is that like? It seems like you don't like. Are you like you're not moving at any point to traverse zones, right? It's literally just like stacking guys. Like
It's because
at a
every
certain
enemy in this
distance.
game is a zoner.
The reason I brought up Wild Arms 5 with that is the fact that you have hexes, and it's not a case where each one individual area, like each 1 5-foot square, is occupied by one person or one swarm.
Right.
They are shared areas. It's best to think of them.
Is it kind of
as
like
the...
Wizardry, where there's a front and back row type thing? Like, okay.
Think of how there's the different field areas in pretty much any major stick and ball sport you can think of.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I wasn't laughing at. I was laughing because you mentioned wizardry. That's not the only reason why I was laughing.
You were
Because
laughing
I know
to
how
hide the
Mildred
pain.
feels about wizardry. No, I was laughing because I know how you feel about it.
Oh, which is what way?
He's talking about me and the fact that I have a love-hate relationship with wizardry.
I mean, don't we all?
Look, the game is evil.
Game
I only have
design.
love. All relationships of love come with hate at some point.
You are moving between zones in move actions, but this isn't a case of there isn't a specific size delineation regarding these zones. It is contextual. And just to illustrate what I mean, I'm going to see if I can find a battle screen image from Wild Arms 5 that will, even though I'm kind of iffy, I'm just going to use one from 4. So let me, and if you look in the side chat, you'll see I put a battle screen of an example of the hex system. Now, not every hex is in that closed circle.
Oh gods, I've forgotten this.
Oh, there is
remember it.
also in the PDF on page 333. It looks like there's like a more explicit
Oh,
example.
Yeah.
you know,
I'm-
when you said hexagons, I was thinking something on a bigger scale, not what looks something out of a Crash Bandicoot boss fight.
Oh,
You were thinking more along the lines of civilizations or something, yeah?
Yes.
oh. We're not going to get into a mass combat rule set just yet. I may homebrew that one
Hold on,
day.
what do you mean yet?
Eventually, a game will be covered that deals with mass combat, like we dealt with Overwar, but not tonight.
Oh,
But the point is, instead of a matter of how many square feet you can move, it is more about moving through these zones. Which is why the game isn't that interested in being specific about how many feet or meters a ranged weapon has.
Yeah, it's just interesting though because, well, I don't know, not to go too nuts on it, but like, you know, in a lot of like JRPG inspired games, they don't really have like a lot of modeling for range in general sometimes, and in this they do. And then in some like lighter rule systems, instead of doing like you know, squares or feet or whatever, they do close, near, medium, and far, and those are just sort of like rough approximations for how far away. But then in this, it's like literally spatially represented on a map, but in a more like abstracted fashion, I guess, which is like kind of interesting.
But getting to missions, like I mentioned, it is mission based, which allows for both one shots and more expansive material. The first part of mission is the grade. It's either copper, silver, or gold grade, basically the level range. As mentioned, copper grade is 1 to 4, silver grade is 5 to 8, gold is 9 and above. Then you do have the option of borrowing a toolkit from the Cloudbreaker Guild that you have to return. It can be any of the personal toolkits. Depending on the grade, that will give you a bonus that will determine the toolkit bonus. Copper is +3, silver is +4, gold is +5. You can also get these kind of toolkits the good old-fashioned way. Then the rewards can be either experience points. Leveling up is always every 100 points. Cred, which is, you know, credits, euro dollars, new yen, you get the idea. Bonds and fond memories is a bit more of a social reward, and it is something we will get to later. Sometimes you might get special items. Some missions will have a time limit, and they do admit time is a stretchy concept during a mission, where time only passes when you take short breaks or long breaks, 5 and 30 minutes respectively, or when casting long spells. But I have a feeling that time limit is something that, depending on the GM, they may not be as strict about, but it is there as an option for those who want to. And then we do have a mission structure, which I do like the graphic we have for it. It very much leans into an act structure. Missions have elements of intermission, intro, and outro. The time of the mission. Critical situations, which are described as the most dangerous parts of missions. Players need to take turns resolving time-sensitive, high-tension situations. combat, escape, and chase situations are examples of this. You just need to achieve the victory conditions in combat situations. Defeating all enemies is not necessary unless it's part of the victory condition. So, any tactics RPG you played where it lists victory condition, that's what this is for. Not all of them are defeat all enemies. Oh. Then the mission wrap-up, where rewards and penalties are calculated. The outro intermission for any post-mission epilogues. And then any point of interests. This is a very act structure and also a very episodic structure, which works for me personally because I've always structured my campaigns like a season of a television show. Or series for those of you in the UK. And, of course, you do have the matter of mission failure, or fission failure. Yes, I had to make the MGS2 joke. And they do have the answer of what to do if you wipe. If you end up having a party wipe, you will get retrieved and revived by the guild. Whatever the mission reward was, you end up only getting half of that. Or rather, that's how much you have to pay. That's how much you have to pay. And the guild's insurance providers will charge each character 120 cred for worst place endangerment. Now, much like how in some ARPGs, even if you die, you end up losing some gold. Similar principle here. They do also go into campaigns, and I do like that he said, imagine it as a season of a TV series with the missions being episodes. So exactly what I said a minute ago.
Yeah, it's funny, because I mean, not to talk too much about this, but, like, Polyhedra Games output also being a 2d6 system, there's, like, a lot. Sorry, I cut out for a second. We have, like, the same paragraph in, like, all of our books, too. And, like, I don't know, just seeing a lot of similarities there is, like, kind of funny and interesting. But there's a lot of divergences as well, obviously, and these aren't, like, original concepts as much as they're parallel concepts.
There's been plenty of games that build around a TV show idea since the 90s. Probably the late 80s as well. It's hard to say which one was the first because that's like saying what was the first band that started a given genre. That's never how this works. And I'm less interested in like the genealogy just as much as like how the parallel development happens, because like especially with like a 2d6 system and like drawing on like a lot of the same source material, you get a lot of the same. Like I'm not even like that part we have a similar take on, but also like the, what is it RPG, like that structure is also very simple because it's drawing from the same stuff, and even just how you resolve like 2d6 mechanics, like it's just interesting to see how people have like similarities or differences from like those as much as some lament it because they interpret it as, why are you playing a TV show? For a lot of people, their introduction to fantasy is through TV and film. So why not take advantage of that?
Well, also, I feel like the average, like, I don't know, a lot of people play D&D and they expect it to be more like Lord of the Rings than what it actually is, which is more like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Which, that is a failure on
so
writing.
much.
Yeah.
For me, it was I feel like I was able to dodge that because when I first played, the guy, Old Man Bullhorn, as I called him, the guy who broke me into the hobby, he didn't use Lord of the Rings as a parallel, he used Discworld as a parallel, which I was already reading at the time. Which I would say is closer to the mark. but they do give the time frame for rounds, turns, short breaks, full rests, and long breaks. And this isn't your. You know how in say 5e you end up seeing that whole pattern of Jesus. Thank you, Mario, for gifting 5 memberships on YouTube. I certainly appreciate that. Oh,
Nice.
hope you enjoy the madness. But you know how in 5e there were a lot of mechanics that were built around, oh, you can do this once per short or long rest, which everybody keeps telling me is the parallel to the AEDU, or encounter daily and utility from 4th edition. It's not.
Yeah.
It is most definitely not, and anyone who says
It
that
isn't.
it is has not played 4th. But it is nice to have that kind of thing, even though I've only really specifically built around time when it was thematically relevant, like those. Think of like the amount of time you put on the bomb in the bombing mission in Final Fantasy VII, or the Great Hunt moment in Final Fantasy IX, which no matter what you do, you're always going to lose because Freya's just better than you. But obviously the next page is character creation, but we're not going to get to that until next Wednesday. So just from the broad strokes so far, what do you guys think of what CBA is doing in these opening chapters?
It has a lot of character to it.
Mm-hmm.
I like how it's establishing itself in terms of differences.
It's very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my cat was on me. It's very detailed.
Yep. No worries. So I'm no stranger to having guests who are at war with their cats. And it could be worse. You could be at war with the cats in Cats.
No.
As long as it's the musical and not the movie.
Yeah, actually, yes, I agree. I agree.
There is a story to that I'll share later, but Flame, what did you think? Flame, you alive?
Flame?
We'll get to.
I unplugged my microphone and I had to pretty much literally just delete the whole thing from Windows to make it work again.
Yeah.
Technology, it loves to give us the middle finger.
I despise Microsoft with all my life. Can you repeat the question?
Take a number, back of the line.
Damn it.
What do you think of the game so far?
It's honestly quite a unique system. I'm really liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, simplicity. 2d6 is like peak design that for some reason people have, I don't know, banned on using because it's fun and easy to learn. Then again, a lot of people are influenced by the world's greatest blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the combat is, to me, at least so far, is one of the biggest selling points.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. And Clipper, what about you?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting so far. like I said, especially a lot of my personal output is based on like 2d6 systems. So like seeing a lot of the similarities and divergences is pretty interesting. I think the setting is very interesting. I think even like the tagline of like a counter-apocalyptic tabletop role-playing game is interesting. I like just like the tone and the aesthetics of it. It's very whimsical. Like we said, it has like that like the early 2000s Flash vibe, or like I wrote on one of these pages, it's giving Gaia Online. And I don't know, I think its presentation is very interesting too. Like even like the play-by-play with like the text chat structure, the flow charts are interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Combat seems
Very
interesting.
user friendly. This is like if you were programming and all that kind of stuff. This is user friendly UI.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Now-
yeah,
Also-
and I guess that's the part too. The most endearing part, I have to say, is like the combat screens that make it look, I don't know, there's just something very like cute about it.
Yeah,
Indeed.
So
it's not grim dark. It's cheerful bright.
pretty much, and it is funny that the last times that I've covered darker TTRPGs in full seasons in this, they have been grim bright. And well, Cloudbreaker is going to fall into the category of post-apocalypse. Even with the tag of counter-apocalyptic.
Yeah. Or like post cyberpunk stuff. I thought of a lot, like Digimon or Mega Man Battle Network, or those types of.
After the companies fail, after the corporations fail.
I think that's what Cyberpunk V3 wanted to be, but that's another story I don't feel like getting into. Not unless any of you want to pay my bar tab, which the only person who has a worse bar tab here in the temple than me is Doku, and nobody's paying his tab. But
I would, but I'm selling my books because I have no fucking money.
But with that said, when we come back here, it will be on Wednesday, starting on the 19th, and future episodes will be on Wednesdays. I didn't do it on Wednesday this time around because, well, Wednesday is the 12th, and I'm not doing something like this on my birthday. But
Why not? It could be fun.
I have other ideas for that. But
Oh, what horrors are you putting yourself through on your birthday?
aside from the usual trolling, I know that I'm going to be getting Spotzel and Strudel, and if any of you wanted to get in the way of me getting Strudel, good luck. You will need it. But next week we'll be getting into character creation and the World of Cloudbreaker Alliance.
Yay.
And that is going to be interesting, especially since with character creation we will be getting it. I know it would be tempting to say we'll be getting into races and classes, but that's not going to be until a bit later on, where those are going into more detail. I did mention this in that video 2 years ago, but I'd say one of the more interesting things that you see with Cloudbreaker Alliance is the fact that it is not doing the cascading modifiers approach that you often see. Instead, it's more separated. I kind of covered that briefly, but that's a interesting thing that you will see more of as we go forward in this. So, until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.